I've been a casual investor for like the last 6 years or so, and I've never had a proper investing plan for the year, for the upcoming year, or at least I never wrote it down. I did have some ideas in my head, but I never actually put it in writing. So this year I want to do it the right way, and I'm going to show you my investment plan and goals for 2024, and this will also force me to be more accountable about this, so you're kind of helping me to do better as well. Hello, my name is Robert, and I'm here to share my learnings and experiences about personal finance as a European. And my overall goal with my investing is to preserve and steadily grow my wealth. I'm a relatively passive investor, and I check my portfolio basically once a month or so when I create these kind of updates. So for me, steady returns are more important than getting rich quickly kind of schemes, because I'm investing for the next 10 to 20 years, maybe even longer. So I just wanted you to know that, because I think it matters quite a lot depending on your strategy, on your type of persona you are, or even your age. You're gonna set your own strategy. In my case, it's quite passive and very low risk. So the most important goal for my portfolio in 2024 is to generate at least 8% returns. Now I'm going for a relatively low number here because, for example, S&P 500 has generated higher yearly returns in the last 20 years. That's been like 10% or something. But I feel like the high interest rate environment we're having right now will restrict the market from growing as fast as it did in 2023. Also, in the past, once Fed and ECB start decreasing interest rates, the market was usually cooling down, and in some cases even shrinking. So it's going to be really interesting to see what will happen this time. Are we going to see recession or just slight correction? And by the way, this is not an investment advice. This is just how I'm going to do things. You should do your own research and not trust some random European dude on YouTube, And since I'm talking about the 8% returns, let me share with you how I'm going to do that. So what type of portfolio I'm going to look at, what's the split. So right now my portfolio looks like this, but my goal is to rotate some of the cash from the growth stocks like Tesla and Microsoft to ETFs and just redistribute my portfolio. And hopefully by end of the first quarter, I want to be closer to the following distribution. So I'm not yet there, but I'm gonna work towards that next 3 months. I wanna have 25% in growth stocks. So that's individual stocks that I find and think have potential to grow in the next few years. Now, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do this year, but last year I bought into Microsoft because of OpenAI and the AI craziness we're having. And then I also bought Tesla and Amazon as they were valued way lower than I thought they should be. For example, Tesla was under $100 at that time at the beginning of the year, and when I purchased it, almost immediately after that, it shot up by, I think, 150% at least. I think it's at 250 right now. That's why I was able to get them for a really good price, and these drove most of my profits in 2023. And then we go back to my pie, and then I want to have 10% crypto. I'm just going to hold the ones I already have, but it's going to be really interesting what's going to happen, especially because Bitcoin is going to halve this April. So I'm just waiting and seeing what's going to happen there. And then I want to also invest 10% of my portfolio in the peer-to-peer lending. I'll talk more about this a bit later in this video, but I tried this first time in June 2023, and the results are looking good. And then the biggest part of my portfolio will be ETFs, so that's 50%. I'm going to invest in S&P 500 or some sort of world ETF. It's a long-term asset, and it's really non-negotiable for me. I need to have at least 50%. And this is for me just a way to preserve what I've built so far, what I've earned, and then try to grow that steadily. Then I'm going to try something new this year. I'm going to keep about 5% in cash for opportunities. But I really feel like if I have that allocated, then if there's any opportunities that come up, and you need to react quickly. It could be something like a commodity falling in price or other unexpected event that drives stock price or maybe commodities or anything else. I just want to have some cash to react to that quickly. Now, if you compare my new allocation to the 2023 one, it's pretty much the same. My goal is just rebalancing the portfolio. You can see there's only small tweaks here and there. And by the way, I'm curious to hear how you split your portfolio, because I'm here to learn more about investing and finance. This is one of the reasons I'm doing this channel, and I would love to hear how you do it. Let me know in the comments below. a little bit separate from my portfolio, I also have a small emergency fund for about 4 months of, it's about 4 months of income. This is strictly for emergencies, and I want to put this on a high yielding accounts such as maybe Trading 212 or Trade Republic. Both of them offer right now 4% yearly yield on euros and pounds. So if you're in Europe, this would be perfect for you. Also, both of these platforms are regulated and are protected by deposit guarantee schemes. And if I remember correctly, Trading 212 has up to 20,000. It's part of the guarantee, and then Trade Republic has 100,000. So if they go bankrupt, I have some guarantees that I will get my money back. But you need to check those numbers. They depend on your country and where you're registered. But once I've set this up and I've just had some passive money coming in, I'll create a separate video about it just to share my thoughts about it, and if it's safe enough, if I feel safe enough putting money on these platforms just to to lay down and collect that interest rate. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you don't have yet emergency fund, I saved it up before I started investing properly. I mean, I had some investing, but then I really focused on getting the emergency fund in place. It's just amazing how much peace it gives you when you know that if some unexpected bill or tax return comes in, I'm able to pay it off immediately. It just gives you room to breathe. This really works well with my low finance risk tolerance. It just calms me down. Okay, so then one of my goals for this year, for 2024, is to invest about 10% of my income. Whatever I make, 10% of that I want to invest. Now, this is a relatively small amount for me, but I have some big expenses coming up in this year, such as potentially wedding and potentially some house renovation work. So I'm not sure I can do better this year. Obviously, if I have something left over, I'll add it to my investment pot, but right now it doesn't look like I'll be able to. But what has helped me to invest consistently in 2023 was to set recurring investment, and it will go automatically from my bank account, so I don't need to think about it at all. This has saved me so much headspace, and it just happens without me thinking of it. I really encourage you to try it out, especially if you invest most of the time in the same stock or ETF. It's just a perfect solution. And if you want to learn how to set recurring investments in Europe, click on this video banner right here, and I have a detailed tutorial about it there. It's just not all platforms allow you to do this. This year, I also want to invest more in peer-to-peer lending, and I think I want to try to add another provider. I've been with Mintos for the last 6 months or so, and I'm really happy with them, but I want to see how others compare with it. So how do others have, in terms of like risk and stuff like that. I want to definitely give a try to another provider. And on top of that, I want to try at least one unconventional investing, like invest in art or whiskey or something like that. Right now I don't know what this will be, and what if I use any money on it. I'll use very small amounts, but I just want to see if I like it and how it works. Then also for this year, I have a few things I want to learn. First, I want to learn to think holistically about industry. So not just direct cause and effect, like let me give you an example. AI is everywhere right now, right? And companies that finance or create these AIs did really well in 2023. However, what do all these AI companies need to run their heavy algorithms? Computing power, right? And that's reflected in the stock prices. For example, let's look at Google. It was up by 50%, which is pretty good. Same thing for Microsoft, it was about 50%. But then let's take a look who actually supports this industry. Nvidia, 230% up. AMD, 110%. That's just crazy, right? So I want to try to find something that, to help me recognize these opportunities in gold rush. So instead of going and finding the gold diggers, I want to identify the companies that sell the gold digging equipment. And it could be a book or a course or something like that. So, but I need to look into this. Another thing that I'm a bit lost right now is the macroeconomic impact on the stock market. So, for example, if people start losing jobs, initially it might increase the stock market. To me, it just makes no sense, but apparently companies become more profitable, and investors like that more. This is a really dark example, but I just want to understand this type of connection connections. And I think I'll just read a few books around this. And the third goal is to learn to read the basic financial statement. Nothing too crazy. Right now I need to check pretty much everything that I look. If I look at any financial statement, I need to check everything, but it would be nice to feel a bit more comfortable with. Now, I've been investing for the last 6 years, and there are a few mistakes that I really wish I hadn't made. Without them, my portfolio would have been double the size. That's why I created this video, so you can avoid losing time and money by making the same mistakes.